Back in the late 80s and early 90s, the arcade scene was thriving. Brand new 2D gaming experiences rolled off the conveyor belt and into arcades across the country from companies like Capcom, Taito, Data East and of course Sega. We were witnessing the birth of 2D arcade games which would go on to become household names: Street Fighter 2, Final Fight, Midnight Resistance, R-Type to name just a few. In the modern gaming world where 4K, ray tracing and global illumination are all standard fare, it's easy to forget just how impressive these arcade titles were back in the day, as well as the foundations that they laid for those who followed. When Sega released their 16-bit Mega Drive system, the hardware inside was clearly aimed at replicating the arcade experience in the home. Powered by the Motorola 68000, the same CISC microprocessor at the heart of several major arcade boards including Capcom's CPS-1 and Sega's own System 16, the Mega Drive sought to blur the lines between coin-op and console. Looking back now, the results of arcade titles ported to the Mega Drive are varied, but impressive nonetheless. In this video, I ask you to cast aside your 4K experiences of today and place yourself in the minds of a gamer in the late 80s and early 90s. Someone who frequents their local arcade, excited by the possibility of playing their favourite Sega games in the home. Something they once thought unimaginable. I'm James, the Segaholic, one half of the Sega Guys, and in this video, it's part 1 of the 12 games that Sega released to bring the arcade home to 16-bit. We kick things off with an absolute classic, Yu Suzuki's Outrun, a game that has truly stood the test of time. The premise is simple: get from one end of the country to the other by taking a combination of routes A to E, avoiding traffic and beating the clock. First released in arcades in 1986, it wouldn't come home until 1991, but that delay did nothing to diminish its popularity. The Mega Drive does a great job of replicating the look and sound of the arcade version, with magical sound shower and splash wave both sounding fantastic. Handling is responsive and the port absolutely nails the sensation of speed on the open road. An arcade perfect port wouldn't come to the home until 1996 thanks to the standalone Japanese Sega Saturn release on the Sega Ages label, but you can't help but be impressed by the 16-bit offering. And if you want to make your Mega Drive experience that little bit more authentic, there's a community mod which alters the colours to bring back those blue skies. And you can see that mod in action right here on our channel. The little banner will be in the top corner, and the link is also in the description. Okay, so this one comes with a caveat, given that it's actually a Mega Drive developed game and not an arcade port. However, the Mega Drive didn't actually receive a port of the original game, so we'll have to work with what we have. Space Harrier 2 was a Japanese launch title for the system in October 1988 alongside Super Thunderblade, and technically it's something of an achievement. The frame rate is lower than the original arcade version of Space Harrier, but at the same time Space Harrier 2 impressed those who took it home. Gameplay is near identical to the original game, as Harrier moves left to right in the air, firing at waves of enemies and dragon-like bosses. This one would have satisfied anyone looking for that Space Harrier fix in the home. More of an update than a sequel, Afterburner 2, developed by Studio 128, hit arcades in 1987, adding 3 new stages and the ability to change speed during flight. While a port of the original Afterburner did come to the Sega Master System, all other home versions are actually Afterburner 2 regardless of what their packaging says. The Mega Drive received its port in 1990 in Japan and the US, with the UK needing to wait until 1991 to take to the skies. Gameplay wise, it's classic Afterburner. Your fighter jet auto fires its gun, or you lock onto enemy jets with an on-screen cursor and use B to fire rockets. The sound is fantastic, and I defy anyone not to get right into the battle when Stage 4's theme kicks in. Sure, you don't have the thrill of a hydraulic cabinet or even the throttle stick on the stand-up cab, but Afterburner 2 still brought home the thrill of a dogfight and took you right into the danger zone on its mighty wings. 1988's Alter Beast went down well with arcade goers when released, receiving critical acclaim for its visuals and hero morphing gameplay mechanic. Alter Beast is possibly most notable for being the Mega Drive's pack-in game during its earliest months on sale, mainly due to Sega being keen to show off the power of its new console with large sprites and digitised speech. A side-scrolling beat-em-up, you're risen from the dead by Zeus to save his daughter Athena, who's been kidnapped by the demon god Neph. Killing wolf-like demons while battling waves of the undead grants you orbs, each of which power up your Centurion until you morph into a super-powered creature that changes from stage to stage. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail on Alter Beast because if you're a fan of the game or you just want to know more, please check out Dan's amazing Alter Beast retrospective right here on the channel, and as always, little banners in the top corner and the links in the description. Hold on James, this is a Capcom game. I can hear you saying it, and you're right, but the caveat here is that as with a lot of the CPS1 games, Sega licensed this and reprogrammed it themselves, which technically makes it a Sega game. Released in arcades in 1988 by Capcom and ported to the Mega Drive by Sega R&D2, the game came home in 1989 in Japan and the US, with the then customary 1 year wait for UK gamers who got their hands on it in 1990. The game is a horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up with two heroes who look exactly like the guys from Mercs, flying through various stages, taking out enemies in a bid to defeat the evil god Bios, who has destroyed the Earth and turned it into a wasteland called the Dust World. The gameplay mechanic that makes this one interesting is the ability to rotate your player using A to turn clockwise and C to turn anti-clockwise. You hold in either button and the character on screen rotates, and you need to master this because enemies come from all sides and you can only fire in the direction that you're facing. The game also features an in-game shop which allows you to spend accumulated points on new weapons and power-ups. Yep, it's another Capcom game, but as with Forgotten Worlds, this 1988 CPS1 game was reprogrammed by Sega R&D2 in 1989, and yet again the result is stunning. Taking control of the knight named Arthur, you start with a full suit of armour which can be lost as you take hits from enemies, resulting in you running around in just your underwear. It's a game that almost every gamer will have heard of. It's a bona fide arcade classic, despite its notorious difficulty level and unforgiving nature. Wave after wave of enemies flood the screen, and dying sends you right back to the start of the stage. This is old school arcade gaming at its best. As always, if you've made it to the end, thanks for watching. If you like what we do, you can become a member from just 99p, accessing a variety of perks on the channel. And if a monthly membership isn't your thing, no problem. We value your support by liking, sharing and subscribing. Shout outs to our premium tier members, G-Man, Sega Saturn Lad and Andy Mackey, and thank you to all our members for your support. You can get in touch with me on X at the Segaholic. You can find Dan the Mega Driver at super_D, and you can get the channel account at Sega Guys. Until next time, we will see you on the Sega side.